My name is Alexander Gross, and I will be doing my authentic assessment on a soldier's play written by Charles Fuller. Charles Fuller was born in 1939 in Philadelphia, um, and he had written several works throughout his life. Nothing more powerful or important than a soldier's play, which was first performed in the Lucille Theater in New York in 1981. The play opened to rave reviews. It won several awards, including the Pulitzer Prize for Best Drama in 1982. The reason I chose a soldier's play, being in the military, a lot of the storyline really resonates because I could really relate to a lot of the depictions and the story that was being told. The story chronicles the investigation into the death of Sergeant Waters, who was killed, and Captain Davenport was brought in to investigate the murder. Captain Davenport was a black officer that at the time there were very few, so it caused a lot of additional issues um, in the attempt to find the truth. The story deals with a lot of themes of segregation, discrimination, and these themes I think are very powerful in concepts today because of all of the changes that are taking place in the military. You know, with the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, we start to see a lot of other groups, you know, feel the same discrimination that they went through in the 40s. Different issues, but the concepts are essentially sort of the same. The concept that I'll be using is very similar to today's military. I would like to do a 21st century spin on it and give it the updated verbiage and the storyline of set in today's culture. In today, we see a lot of the same or a lot of similarities that were present back then. The issues of discrimination, issues of race. But as we go on to the story, one of the concepts I would use, I think that Captain Davenport in the story should have probably outranked some of the individuals he was sent to investigate. I think this would give him a lot more power and authority in fact finding and getting to the truth. The style that I would use would be very similar to the style. I think the setting would still be in a military installation, probably in a different part of the country, because a lot of times, you know, when we see a story set in the military installation, there's a lot of stigma associated with the area geographically, and sometimes it can overshadow some of the issues that are going on today. So when Captain Davenport was initially sent in to investigate, the conventional wisdom of the day was that the people who killed him had something to do with, you know, the Ku Klux Klan or people, you know, not liking black people. But as the investigation unfolds, we uncover a more, you know, insidious plot that he was killed by another African American, a black man who, at the time, puzzled a lot of people because they were under the impression that they were on the same team or to stick together. There are a lot of problems with the story. Now, one of the problems is we finding, you know, the right tone to not to bring up old stories, but to bring it with a twist to that 21st century update, so that when people hear the story, they're not initially, you know, thinking this doesn't apply to us. Given the history, the military has been desegregated, you know, since Truman, President Truman in 1948, because when a lot of American soldiers would come back from fighting in the war, they realized that they would come back home and they would be subjected to lynchings and other things. And Truman, through executive action, believed that by doing that and incorporating the military, that society as a whole will be more accepting. The importance of this story, I believe, is more important now than ever, due to all of the changes in the military and the structure, due to the fact that as we have been going through these changes, that a lot of the time sensitive issues usually don't get addressed until after the fact. So I believe that this will be very important and bringing the story full circle, bringing that 21st century spin on it. The target audience, I think this play should be performed at the college level. Usually we're looking for that 18 to 22-year-old demographic, because that's the age of usually when you first join the military, you're away from home, and you're very susceptible to all of these changes. And as we go further, I believe there's a lot more storyline and themes that can really be addressed. That would be acceptance of culture. That would be accepting ideals that are foreign to you. But also, I believe that as the story unfolds, it has a lot of history that can really be brought forth, and we can see how we've overcome those problems in a very positive, non-violent, non-confrontational, way. So that has been my authentic assessment for English 434, contemporary American drama. I apologize for the interruptions. I had to do this at a mall. I'm in Guam right now on the TDY, so people walking in the back. The sources that I've used for this was a soldier's play written by Charles Fuller. I also used some internet sources to find some background information, biographical soldier's play from Wikipedia, and also some contemporary studies and the National Archives and the Truman Presidential Library. That completes my authentic assessment. Thank you for your time.